Hey guys, it is Friday. Time for the end of the week wrap up. So we've been working on the roof up here on Bob's truck. This roof's pretty rough. When we got this truck, some kids had climbed around on the roof to steal the light, and it was pretty well caved in. So I had that little structure repair in there, and so Phil Jr.'s been up there going at the body work. So that's going to take a little time, but we are making headway on it. And the owner of the Pantera was just here and brought me some parts. So we got a couple little things we're going to do to this. They have a kit that allows you to remove one of the cross members there, and it puts in a removable cross member, which allows you to then remove the oil pan later on without having to pull the motor. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. Going to change some of the actuator locations to give it a little more room and make the lid open up a little higher. So that's kind of on the agenda here, but those parts just showed up a few minutes ago. And fortunately, got a few parts for Brian's Camaro. The AC lines finally showed up, so have to make those. And again, we have to make all the lines and fittings and so on, crimp them all together. So that takes a little bit of time. I have been finishing up all of the brake lines. I still had to do the front to the rear, so I got all the stainless lines in now. Tried to keep them all nice and clean. Runs to the back. All the lines in the back are finished, so all the brake lines are done. As I mentioned last week or week before last, I got the fitting for the hose for the clutch, so I got that all attached and put in. And we have been working on some things in the back here. I'll see if I can get under here and shed a little light. One of the things that Brian wanted to accomplish is he wanted a electric e-brake. So it's a kit that they sell that uses an actuator and it mounts on the bottom. And kind of opened up kind of a little method of being able to discuss something with you guys. This kit, and I think I briefly touched on it. This kit in the instructions says it takes about 5 hours to uh, install this kit. Well, if it's on a truck, maybe. For example, on this particular car, the floor pan, as you know, usually has little dimples and bead rolls in them, and they're rippled. So there's no flat area to actually mount the actuator. Um, so, I mean, I had to build a plate. I don't know, can you see that up there, the actuator? So I had to build a plate and a little bracket to be able to hold that actuator, to hold it in place. That took a little bit of time. The cables are then run in a different location. Normally on a GM product, the brake cables run straight forward into this bracket. They go up to a section where they're allowed to meet together. Well, you can't do that on this. And this one has a caliper for an e-brake. You can see here. Now, because of space limitations, you have a lower bar and an upper bar, triangulated 4-bar. The only place that caliper would fit is on the leading side of the wheel in between, because as it goes up and down, you can't get it hit the frame rail or the exhaust. So now the cable is facing out the back. So this cable has to come around the back. You got a shock here. The cable comes around the back. I had to make brackets. Goes up and over the rear, links into the other cable, and then runs forward from here into that actuator. So by the time you build all these special brackets to put all the cables on there, you're twice as deep as where you had originally started. And a lot of times on these cars, and I'm kind of going to give you this information strictly because it's an education in the sense of, Brian, the owner of this car, he's built a few cars, so he understands. But generally speaking, a customer will purchase a kit and he'll bring it to a shop to have them install that kit. And the instructions say, hey, 5 hours. Well, it takes 10 or 15 hours to do it. And they're losing their mind. They're mad at the shop. And that goes secondarily for you as an individual. You're doing it in your driveway or your garage at home. You're looking at 5 hours and it takes you 3 days because, of quite frankly, you can't get your car running again because it's down because of all the little obstacles that run into. So kind of wanted to address some simple things to think about. This is a Camaro. Okay. So a Chevrolet Camaro normally had a 10 bolt or a 12 bolt rear end. Now, when we build a custom car, whether it's us or you want the best of what you can get. So we put a 9-inch rear in here. Well, the 9-inch center chunk is physically larger than that 10 bolt or that 12 bolt. So it's physically larger. And then you upgraded the suspension. You put in a 4-bar. You put in a coilover. You got 4-bar brackets. And then you upgraded the brakes. You went to basically a dual caliper, an e-brake caliper, and a stopping caliper. You now have cables. You have all these extra things that are in the way that normally weren't there. You got to fit a 3-inch exhaust pipe up through. I don't know if you can see all that, but there is a massive amount of stuff stuffed into this little hole that normally wouldn't be there. Now, with that in mind, I have a fuel tank back here that I now have to get fuel lines, a feed line and a return line up to the front past all of this stuff. So now I have to modify things. I have to move things over and put them in different locations. I have frame connectors. So now those frame connectors are in the way, and now I have to run the fuel line out to the rocker to run them forward. So, every time you add some sort of option or upgrade, you are multiplying the time that it takes to install something because the modifications it requires to get there. And a lot of times, the shop gets blamed, they don't know what they're doing. They took too long, or you as an individual, you're only working on your car on the weekend, and I only got 2 days to do it, and I couldn't get it done. I can't go to work on Monday because it took longer than was expected. They lied to me. They didn't lie to you. It's just meant to go on a car that doesn't have anything else done to it. I'll give you a few more ideas with that. Let me see if I can crawl up from under here. I'll give you an example here. Brian bought a really killer set of aluminum pedals. They're beautiful. Let me show you the problem. See the clavis there that comes off of the clutch? You see how narrow that clavis is? It won't fit over the top of that brake pedal. So now I have to modify or buy a different clavis to make that pedal assembly work. So it's like one thing after another. Each time you start something and you modify it, and then you add some kind of a kit or something of that that situation where that kit is based on a stock vehicle, but you changed everything. So you end up spending a lot more time putting stuff together or assembling that. And I just want you guys to, one, be understanding of the shop, of what they have to go through, and two, if you're a guy that does this on your own, which I got a lot of people in this audience that do that, keep in mind that it's not always as simple as those instructions say. Those instructions are a guideline. They're not necessarily an instruction to do that kit. It's a guideline, and you better have enough skill to adapt whatever doesn't work. So more or less, guys, I'm not complaining about kits, but I am trying to educate you on some things to think about when you purchase something to install it, whether a shop's doing it or you're doing it yourself. There's not always a set time to get that done. I hope that it enlightens some of you. I hope that gives you, something to think about, something to look at. But we are making progress, a lot of progress. I've gotten some of the wiring done in this one as well. So we are moving ahead on it. We got the Mustang Shelby in the booth. That's been in primer for a week, and we're going to go ahead and get that blocked out. I do have to apologize to you guys. My videos have been a little lacking lately. If you didn't know, I'm a diabetic, and they mess with my medications, and I just haven't been feeling well for probably about 3 months. But we finally got that under control, and I'm feeling a whole lot better. It's very hard to work and really stay after it and do the things it takes to do these videos when you don't feel well. So I'm back at it. I feel good. I will start getting some more videos out to you. I'm going to try and start putting one out on Wednesday as well as the Friday video. The Wednesday videos, I'm going to try and do texts and maybe explanations of certain tools and things like that. And if there's something that you really want to know about or would like a demonstration of or so on, put it in the link down below in the comments, and I'll try to get something out there to make you happy to see where we're at. But meanwhile, thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next Friday or next Wednesday. Have a good weekend.